One of my early mistakes with using the Milton model or any kind of persuasive language was to treat it as some magic wand that could accomplish anything, and more specifically, and this is not an easy thing to admit, I had my first girlfriend leaving me back in the day, and I had just started to study how the Milton model works, and I thought maybe I can get her back if I text her some magical phrases that will make her remember how good we were together. Number one, never do that, very bad idea. Second, did not work at all. And third, it made me understand something more important about all of those language patterns. Because I basically presupposed I could control somebody's feelings, thoughts, decisions, choices by the way I speak. And it took me a while to realize that compared to the vision we have in movies, the myth that surrounds the world of hypnosis, we never really control anything in anyone. On a little side note, her and I indeed ended up together again years later, but I had completely dropped that idea of getting her back. She came back by herself. So some hint here, when you let go of trying to control things, that's sometimes when they happen. Long story here. But basically, to come back on the Milton model, today I would say it is almost a part, if not completely a part of how I speak every day, and I don't need to think anymore about how to suggest this or that. I just have an idea in my head and my language is automatically translated with some of the Milton model patterns. And the way I developed that skill was by trying to believe I could control anything that will or will not happen during a conversation beforehand, and accepting that it was chaotic anyway. I have zero control on what the person is going to say anyway, and I have zero control over what I'm going to think about 1 hour from now, once we have had a conversation for up to 1 hour. So I thought about automating language beforehand so that it is available automatically and I don't have to think anymore about how to say this or say that with the metaphoric sentence, with the embedded command, with the question tag, with the phonological ambiguity, all of those things already automated. However, the main objection that comes in when I tell that to people, just automate beforehand, is yes, but where do I start? Because the Milton model is filled with, I think the initial model had like something like 46 categories, and then they really reduced it and shortened it, but even then it was still like loaded with tons of micro distinctions between the omissions, the lost performatives, all this lingo that almost no one is still using today anymore. It was back in the codifying process when they were really trying to figure out how can we call this and that. But when I learned it, my point was, okay, I just want the most effective things, the most effective patterns, the things that if I work on that, that's going to be the 20%, that's going to make 80% of my results. Pareto principle. I wanted to figure that out. So I only focused on certain key categories of the model, not everything, but certain key categories. And I noticed in many cases, those ones were enough. I did not need to figure out literally everything that is contained within the Milton model. Just 5 or 6 really important linguistic distinctions were enough to make people change during a conversation, because my language was naturally matching their unconscious representation. If you want a translation for what the Milton model is, I would personally say it is only that. It is just a tool for transformation, a tool for transforming language. So when your interlocutor has one idea in their head, it can be a belief, an assumption, or something blocked in themselves, so it is more emotional, but we can translate that as a thought in their head. They don't want to do this, they can't stand this, they hate this, because some emotional wound. The Milton model is simply a way to transform that into a new reality, a new version. That doesn't mean you will change everything that is happening in your client's head, but you can alter the specific key beliefs or negative connotations they have about themselves or about their lives in a very short sentence. And to some extent, it is just a way of using embedded commands. So an embedded command is listen to me now, stop now and listen, change today. All of those are simple embedded commands, but if I was only communicating with those, you would be like, who the hell is this moron? Because there is not enough details about the change process and all the things you are giving as a feedback. If I say something and you don't like it, you will mention it, or like you will have an expression, I will have to adapt. That whole adaptation happens during the conversation, and if I need to adapt and on top of that think about what to say, it is way too much, and that is why so many hypnotherapists just get stuck and stop trying to learn new things and experiment because they think it is way too much. Or like they're not competent to help this or that client because they don't have enough knowledge in their head. For example, those beliefs again can be changed, and in any case, the Milton model is just a more elaborated way of using those embedded commands. Those things that you would just want to tell clearly to the client, just stop thinking about this now, just drop that belief now. If it was that easy, you would just use those commands, but it is not that easy. Therefore, the Milton model is a way to sugarcoat somehow, to add some sprinkles to the way you speak so that people resist much less, because you alter the way you present your ideas, the way you speak, the certain words that need to come before another word in the Milton model, so that whenever you use an embedded command, that command won't be resisted as much. That command will slip by in their unconscious mind without them knowing. And since I know it is such a difficult challenge for many people to learn the Milton model without breaking their head on the wall, I have assembled a method down below in the description that you can follow in 7 days. And during those 7 days, the first one is more the introduction, and then from day 2 it is the 6 categories I have identified personally. Are there only 6 categories? Of course not, but I have really simplified and assembled the whole model into 6 categories one by one, and after each day you have a simple set of exercises that you can use to automate language and to build your own phrases, your own language patterns, your own embedded commands. So you won't have to memorize anything, because you will develop your brain's ability to articulate those language patterns with what comes from your head and not what comes from mine or anybody else's. This is specifically the way I learned, by practicing language patterns one by one with commands that had threat to the feelings I wanted to produce in the people around me. I don't know who are the people who are around you right now. I don't know who are the clients you have to deal with right now. So instead of giving you static phrases that you will never use, I prefer to give you a language pattern with blanks inside the phrase that you have to fill in with your own commands. That way you appropriate to yourself the language. And that is how you become an advanced hypnotist who does not need to think anymore about what he wants to say or not say during a conversation or during a therapy session. That method is down below if you want to check it. Until Sunday, there are some bonuses with this that you can benefit from if you are ready. And I tell you good luck and see you soon in the next video.